Hello and welcome. It's a beautiful day and it's a wonderful morning. Welcome to Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV. I'm Chinyere Igweodu.
And I am Henry EBBK.
Now, before we head to our newspaper segment, we'd love you to join us and have a say in what we say by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Enterprise TV7 and visiting our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Joining us in our newspaper review segment is Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. All right, without further ado, let's head straight to the papers to see what we have. We are beginning with the Daily Times, and the big story here reads, CJN summons CJFHC, CJ Kano High Court over conflicting court orders.
Very well. And on the top strip of the same newspaper, we have Tinubu relaunches Abuja rail operation, declares 6 months of free ride.
And the bottom strip, we have FG directs outgoing VCs to appoint deputies as acting administrators.
And still on the bottom strip of the Daily Times newspaper, federal government frees Mayete Allah's president from terrorism charges.
All right, let's stay on the big story this morning. CJN summons CJFHC, CJ Kano High Court over conflicting court orders, and the rider, as NBA calls for judges, lawyers sanction over the arrears, and the sub-rider Kano government bans public demonstrations. And we have Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid to do justice to the topic on the reference. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right. There seems to be a lot of tension in Kano State since Sanusi was reinstated. And we are now seeing conflicting court judgments. Some of the judgments are saying that the ousted Emirate should remain in office, and some other is saying that Sanusi is the person to be there. This has, given birth to a lot of tension in Kano, and one may wonder what is really going on. Can you give us an overview of what the matter really is in Kano State?
What is going on in Kano State is a confirmation of the rot in our system. In other words, the lack of respect for our rule of law, doing things without regards to the law. It's the reason why they are there. Otherwise, you won't see a court of coordinate jurisdiction, the Federal High Court and the State High Court, giving a conflicting decision on matter that is clear on anybody. In other words, I say clear here, that everybody is aware that a decision was given by High Court in Kano State before the Federal High Court. So bearing that in mind, I do not expect that a Federal High Court will also entertain a similar suit in that regard, or giving another order in that regard. The only court that can overrule what has been done by the High Court of a state is the Court of Appeal, because the Federal High Court and the High Court are of the same level. They are on the same pedestal. We call it a coordinate. They are of coordinate jurisdiction. So one is not higher than the other. The decision of the other cannot. So if you are not satisfied with the decision of the court, what you should do is to go to a higher court, which is a Court of Appeal in this instance. And you see this attitude of, unfortunately, again, all these orders that I've talked about, the one at the High Court, the one at the Federal Court, they were all gotten by way of ex parte. Ex parte here means without the other part. Ex parte means it's only the person who is bringing the application and the judge that will be there. The other party will not even be aware that the matter is coming up or anything is happening. So it is between so if the court is satisfied or the judge is satisfied, they have an emergency, irreparable damage will be done if that order is not granted. Because the essence of that ex parte order is for emergency. That if this order is not granted, something that cannot be rescued will happen. That is the circumstances when this other is being abused these days. Whenever everybody is looking for one thing or the other, they rush to court and the court and is giving. In fact, there was even an allegation that the one granted by the High Court, by the Federal High Court, was initially granted. No, the one granted, the Federal High Court was granted first, if I'm right. I think it was granted first before the High Court of Lagos. So, there was even an allegation that the one granted by the Federal High Court, where the judge was not even in the country, and that allegation from the government quarter that the judge was in America at the time the judgment was given. So these are clear indication that look, our system has been completely bastardized. People now do things in line with their own interest, not in line with the law. The law set out conditions under which emergency ex parte order can be granted, and other circumstances when you can use it. There's most times we are using it for a different thing, and there is not being done. And that's why most times I say our problem is not the law itself. It's about the people scheduled with the responsibility of enforcing or implementing the law. They don't do the law. So if you fail to abide by the law, you will see this kind of a conflict. If you go by the law, there won't be conflict. If you follow the rules of law, there won't be conflict. I am aware as a lawyer that, look, a judge has no power to look outside what is before the court to determine a case before it. But the court can also ask questions and also to in order to clear issue of ground. Look, I am aware of a case or a judgment given by my learned brother at so and so court. Can you please educate me why I should also entertain this matter? You can put that caution out. That would stop. If he is able to give you the new reason why that should happen, or why that particular case are bringing is different from the one where other has been given, then you cannot go ahead. But if he's not able to do that, what they are supposed to do, if a judgment is given against you by way of expertise or any way, you are supposed to go back to that same court, file another either to set it aside or join issue with them. It's not for you to go and file another case elsewhere. But we are seeing that because people are not being punished. People have been doing these bad practices, and the judges who have been granting these orders are not. Because when I say bad practices, I'm talking no case will be filed in court without a lawyer. Most times, 90% of the cases that have been filed in court are filed by lawyers. But I'm aware individuals have the right to also approach court directly, and then you need not engage a lawyer. It's not compulsory. So, most of the cases that have been filed are filed by lawyers, and then the decisions are given by judges. So, you have to look at the lawyers. You have to look at the and I know federal high court, but in this case, I think the federal court was filed first. I know when you are filing a case at the federal high court, you are required to depose an affidavit to say that there is no similar case elsewhere, or there is no the same case or the same subject matter in another court.
Yes,
before the court.
I actually wanted to ask, when you say people are not punished, who are you directly referring to? Is it the judges here, or is it those filing for such?
No, I'm talking about the lawyers and the judges. There's what we call abuse of court process. And if you abuse a court process, court should not allow its process to be abused. And if that happens, a lawyer who deliberately abuse court process should be punished. So if you are aware as a lawyer that a case on the same subject matter is pending in a particular court, and you have to go and file another case in another court, that's an abuse. It's a deliberate attempt to perfect justice. So you should be punished for doing that. That's what I'm saying. So most people, the disciplinary committee of the NBA, thank God that they've said something about it, and they've asked that, but that will not be enough. There must be petition against them. If there's no petition against them, nobody talks. That will be the end of it. And that is the system we operate in this country. If you are committed if you are alleged to have done something wrong, if nobody comes up to say to bring a petition, nothing may happen to you. And there are so many of these cases that has happened before now, where you see a different decision on the same matter from different courts. In fact, you see some where something will be happening in Abia State. Somebody will go to Sokoto State and obtain an order on matter that is happening in Abia State, and that order will be granted. I know that judge that did that will not be punished, because it's clear that judge in Sokoto State except it's a fundamental right or matrimonial matter. Matrimonial matter you can find it anywhere in the country. All right. Fundamental enforcement right you can find any federal court in the country. Even that one has a clause where the infringements occur. But so you see people go from Abia State, you go to Sokoto State, go and obtain an order, and it will be granted. And those judges or that judge that gave that order will not be punished. But that is the order. But
I don't know. Technologically, do you have a place in the Nigerian judicial system where you have a pool of every court order that has been made in the past, so that when new ones are filed, the court now can go through them and know that, okay, this was filed in so state, and therefore I should not want to go into that again. So do you have such kind of technology?
No, we don't have now. We don't have. I cannot tell you. I cannot say we have, because there is no unified system where you can determine whether this case has been done in there. But there are authorities, there are cases. But what I say, there are some cases that should be taken judicial notice of. In other words, that the case we are talking about here now, everybody was aware that we have been told that another has been granted by a federal high court in this case. So why will another person go to high court on the same issue? And the high court will say, I'm not aware. You should be aware. If a judge in that category is not fit to be a judge, because that means he's not even aware of what is happening in his community. Because that is a clear indication that it's clear, it's everywhere that there's an issue regarding Kano Emirate or Emirship, and that also it is clear before everybody that another order was obtained that was even alleged by the governor to have been signed by a judge who was not in the country. So how will a High Court judge tell me he wasn't aware of that position? I'm not saying you should just based on that and take decision. You can ask questions from the lawyer who filed it. Mr. So and so person, I am aware of a case in this matter that has been filed and that has been granted by Madam Nobel in this case. Why are you bringing this one before me?
All right.
That will end the case there if he's not able to answer to the satisfaction of the court.
Very true. All right, quickly, let's move on to our next daily, and this is coming from the Vanguard newspaper.
All right, on the Vanguard here, we have...
The Vanguard.
Yes, the Vanguard. Oh, okay, Vanguard.
Yes.
All right. So, yeah, we have on the top strip, Edo Gilba, government APC war over attack at voters registration center.
Very well. And with the big story here, 1 year in office, my government walking the talk. And this coming from President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
All right. Also on the Vanguard, we have Emirate tussle, NBA fumes as CJN summons FHC, Kano CJS over conflicting orders. And
also we have it Biafra Day, Mba police move against the sit at home. So let's get into the big story here. 1 year in office, my government will walk in the talk. But Tunji, there's no other person that I would gladly and comfortably say has done so much justice to such kind of issue. Every time you come here, you are very critical about this issue. White is white, black is black. And we shouldn't at any point conflict them. When the president is saying 1 year in office, my government is walking the talk, do you think this is good enough to make a headline news?
Probably the president has a different agenda that we don't know. But if you are talking about the program sold to us by the president and the agenda sold to us by the president and what he said he wants to come and do, as far as I'm concerned, he has not achieved that. Except he has his own personal agenda somewhere in his own diary. That this is what I want to achieve. And if he's achieving that, he can say, that's within his knowledge. He can say, yeah, I've done what I... But if we are looking at the promises made by the president during the campaign, I'm not saying I expect him to have concluded all those things, but I expect to have seen foundation or so many or steps that are likely to change that scenario. What I've seen so far from the policies introduced by the president, I think that have drawn us back below the bed. In fact, they have gone back to the basis. Just if I permit me to use that, even the Buhari regime that we say was bad, people are now even saying the Buhari regime is even a better regime, because the essence of government, except the president doesn't understand it, the essence of government is not about how many statements you made, how many promises you have made, how many intentions you have shown. It's not about how what's it called? How well people said how well you have hit ground running or by make a most decision about what they call it. They say the president is making a bold, is taking bold steps or whatever. It's not how well you have, how well has those bold steps changed the life of the citizen? How well has it changed the situation on ground? How well has it affected the welfare and the security of the people? Because by our constitution, the basic primary responsibility, or two basic primary responsibilities of the government, is security and welfare. How well have we done in terms of security? How well have we done in terms of welfare? The welfare today, everybody is singing Ebin power, Ebin power, Ebin power. This is what is on ground, and I'm very sure the president is hearing that. Yes, I'm not saying the president is sleeping and he's not taking steps, or he's not doing his effort. The effort is not enough to justify the position taken by the president now. Whatever his step is taking, whatever that he's doing, has not giving us those results that we desire from his promises. His promises is not to take us from 87 naira per liter to 600 and something naira per liter. His promise was not to give us electricity tariff of increase in electricity tariff without supply. That is not his promise. His promise is not to generate money for the country alone. His promise is to lift the welfare and the standard of living of the country. The president said it, that I will give you a living wage. Are we seeing that living wage? It's 47,000 naira or 57,000 naira or 60,000 naira a living wage. Look at the circumstance that we had. The president said the dollar will come down to naira will compete with dollar. Is naira competing with dollar today? The naira we have today is even a dollar maybe 1,005 or so against. And when the president came in, how much was it? It was like 7 and something or 6 and something naira or so unofficial. So for me, looking at all these things that I've said, and so many other things, the president does not deserve what the president has said. As far as I'm concerned, to him it may be correct, but to me as a Nigerian, and I know that to most Nigerians, they are not, they will not be satisfied with that, because what will determine whether or not the government is doing well is if you look at the community, you see, look at the people, and people are satisfied with what's on God, and they are happy that at least their lives are changing. Then they can say the government has done well. But no matter how well you have done, no matter how well you have worked, and that work is not yielding results on the life of the people, you have not done anything tangible.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister. I like that you said that leadership it has to be reflective on the common man. Just yesterday, I bought 4 pieces of fresh tomatoes for 500 naira. I mean, 4 measly pieces. We can go on and on, you know, talking about the things that we are faced with in terms of challenges. But 1 year after, Barrister Tunji, tell us what you think that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should have done differently to achieve a different result. You know, in retrospect, are there areas that you think he should have, you know, addressed that he didn't address? And moving forward, this should be a call to him. What would you love to see him begin to do differently, so that, I mean, the next 3 years of his first tenure does not end up in this anguish, so to speak, that we are now facing as a country? You know,
what do I expect the president and this government to do before differently,
right?
From what they have done before, because what they have done before is why we are where today, is to do a critical thinking before a policy is introduced. Do a critical thinking before you bring out a policy. No matter how well you think this policy will be good for the people, it's not only you. In fact, you may have a policy that you think is good, and people are saying no, we don't want it. In a democracy, you must go. You must retrieve it. Then what we see in this country is that whatever those in leadership think is good for the people, people must accept it. It is their own thinking that everybody must accept, not what other people are thinking. And that's why you can see them pass the new national anthem law, despite the hula baloo around it. So for me, I want them to change, to do a critical thinking whenever a policy is introduced. Because lack of critical thinking and lack of planning is what brought us to this. Maybe the president will be doing better than this. That singular pronouncement on the 29th of May last year is the major reason why we are here today. And it's been difficult for the government to even rescue themselves from that. The pronouncement, subsidy is gone, is the major reasons why and that's why I say, if the government has sat down, look at it critically, look at the likely consequences of it, and see how it can be resolved. It's not as if those other presidents that they say they don't have mind. A good governor, a good leader will not introduce a policy that will create hardship on his people. But it appears this government doesn't care what they are concerned about. We believe in this policy. No matter how well it's going to hurt you, you must accept it.
Right.
So that's why you see presidents introduce a subsidy is gone policy, despite the fact that we are even paying that same subsidy today again, and they have changed our life into another thing. The tariff, the electricity tariff, despite the fact that there's no light, even though they say it's only for the people called tagged as band A, which is, to me, I don't even understand what they are talking about in that. You see president introduce a new tariff, new taxes, multiplicity of everything that's hurting Nigerians. So government should do more thinking in bringing out these policies, and should not see themselves as a business organization that is there to maximize profits. Profit is not the essence of governance. The essence of governance is to give people welfare and security a priority, not about making money at the expense of the lives and the welfare of the people. All
right, thank you so much, Barrister Tunji Abdulhamid. We sincerely appreciate you for staying with us all through our newspaper review segment, and we implore you to stay on as we head to our main conversation.
Thank you very much.
Yes, so when we return, President Tinubu signs bill reverting to old national anthem. More details in a moment. Please don't go anywhere.